So, hello and welcome people back, this time for real, for the last episode of Pandemonium. And we're gonna be entering some of the meanest stages of the game. This one isn't so mean, but it gets there. It's one of the few stages where they actually require you to possess certain magical abilities, but see, you can actually
So silly.
But yeah, I demonstrated there, you don't always get hit.
It's supposed to be the Tasmanian Devil. That makes sense. It's not just a whirlwind, it's got a Tasmanian Devil in there.
Well, maybe. But yeah, because we totally cannot jump over there, we have to jump over it with the help of the spring.
Alright, if that's what they say.
Yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, this is one of the few levels where they actually require you to possess certain abilities in order to advance, which is why they put them everywhere. And at certain points they even give you like a respawning ability point.
I think that this game would have really been helped by a more puzzle solving. Because it has the engine to allow for puzzle solving. They just didn't put anything in.
Yeah, like I don't think with how their magic system actually works, it would have been a very great idea. Because, like, you know, you get hit once, you lose the ability.
Right, but they could have done something where you had to they had like infinite spawns of all three, and you had to or like you had to get one and then avoid a bunch of spawns of another one. You know, that's like a common.
Maybe like you have to use a specific one in order to progress.
You had to use fire, but there was a bunch of ice stuff in your path, or like because there was like a bunch of ice power-ups in your path, or like one where it's like. You have to figure out the right order to use them in. Like you've got to first melt something and then freeze it when it fills up something.
And then there is something that some enemy that you specifically have to make small.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels a little shallow to me.
Yeah, when it comes to the power-ups, it basically comes down to you have
not
fire.
Like the most sophisticated game of all time, Glover. That one had puzzle solving. You had to figure out how to use your different balls.
You had to figure out how the controls work. You had to figure out how the camera how the camera didn't function. You had to figure out how the screen just disappears in several stages. You also had to figure out the questionable idea of physics. There was a lot to figure out about the Glover.
Physics is hard, and about the Glover, like it has a soul now. That glove has a soul. But anyway,
it's just a lefty.
The right one got all the bad,
all the evil. But yeah, this like even though a lot of elements of the design are very similar to the previous stage. They actually achieve a completely different atmosphere with the backgrounds here.
Yeah, you're definitely right. The lighting and the background make
especially the random thunders in the background add to it.
I feel so foreboding. I feel
especially for what's coming next. I absolutely despise the final stage of this game, and I can't remember, but I think that is one of the stages that was removed from the N-Gage version. I think simply because they deemed it impossible to complete with those controls.
Yeah.
Which would be accurate.
You should do a hack where you try to play the full game on your N-Gage.
There actually is a full version of Pandemonium that was available for the N-Gage, actually.
Yeah, well, and that'll be your challenge, like, when like the engage percent of your speed run.
And well, that is it's a little bit obscure, but you know how that's mean. You know how like there was Nokia Engage, and then Nokia, after the Nokia Engage failed, they had they made like a download service.
Okay.
Which was actually still called Engage, but 2.0.
Okay.
And it mostly had very like all of the Engage games, except that Pandemonium was actually an enhanced version of the original, which was just closer to what the PS1 version was.
Okay. And that's where you got the full stages?
Yeah, that is the one where you get the full all of the stages. However, there is one logical issue, whereas for the first one it was just kind of unresponsive because like the controls, like the frame rate wasn't quite there and stuff like that.
Okay.
The second one is impossible because none of the phones that actually supported the Engage download service had the right controls layout to play something like this.
Oh, yeah.
They were just regular phones with regular ass buttons, and those enemies are the biggest assholes in this entire game.
Are you telling me that a D-pad and a directional pad and a single button isn't fun to play a platformer like this on?
No, that's not exactly what I mean. What I actually mean is that a platformer like this is nigh impossible to play if your single button that you're gonna use is right underneath the D-pad that you're gonna be using.
Yep. Yeah, I guess someone might have made like those little like clip-on extension things that people made for game consoles mostly, that like would like you'd have bigger buttons.
Oh yeah, like the ones they made for the Game Boys.
Original Game Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, not even my
maybe
final
they could
form.
have made something like that for the phones. That would have made that actually doable.
I wish they did something similar for smartphones.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of do, but they kind of don't. They do make like like you can just use regular controllers with most phones nowadays.
Sure.
But it doesn't work very well when you can't actually like use the phone in regular phone using situations in combination with the controller,
Right. Like, you're not going to take a controller with you,
and even if you do, like, if you're on a train, you kind of want the controller to be attached to your phone so, it doesn't slip away.
You can just hold one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and the attachments that they make for these, which I've seen, they don't give me confidence that it's not just going to fall off. I hate these floating faces.
They're so angry. Like,
more so that they're just so sporadic in their movements, and this is the worst section. This is the
word you're looking for is erotic. It's very erotic movements.
They're not my type, if that's what you're getting at. But this is the worst section because you have to not only be flawless, you just have to get lucky.
How so? Oh, because the timing isn't like set.
You'll see what I mean in a moment. I have cut out all of my attempts, but this took like a good 20 or more tries. See, you just have to get lucky and land on this platform. Just know exactly where that platform is and land on it. Otherwise, you just do not get enough time to get there. And it took me like this game takes 2 hours to complete, roughly. Doing that section alone, like that specific section, because there is actually a checkpoint there. took me an hour. Not out of the how. I love his voice. I love the wishing engine's voice. But yeah, this boss fight is actually pretty cool.
You gotta push those to push up the things. To push yourself up to get those.
Yes, you just have to push them around. You want to leave that one over there.
As far as I'm concerned, Super Mario Galaxy ripped off and Sunshine and all the ones that they've done where you have like something where you're running around on the outside and you got the enemy in the middle. Rip this off.
Now, this is where things get a little bit difficult. You have to actually aim this at him and just get lucky with the timing.
That shows where it's aiming. I see.
Yeah, I wish this was either faster or a little bit more lenient, or he was slower or something. And now we have to reload it because it runs out of energy. We can thankfully duck all of his attacks for now.
Ooh.
And he laughs every time we get hit. And this is how you reload it. So this is why I said to leave it there. For now, he will only shoot upwards, which isn't too threatening, unless we're jumping, which, well, that will happen inevitably. And,
go on. So, you're fighting the wishing engine? I thought you needed to use...
No, he's protecting the wishing engine.
So he's the guardian of it, or is he the evil thing? Okay, so he's not the evil thing that we summoned, or is...
No. We never fight the evil king, the evil thing that we summoned. And finally, I hit him. Now, he still does not alter his pattern, although I believe he's a tiny bit faster. We have to reload the thing. I do love the robotic voice for the reloading in this fantasy game. But yeah, important detail about dodging his attacks, especially after he gets to the next phase. He cannot actually hit you if you're standing behind this. Like, for example, if he's now going this direction, like he's going to our right now, right? If you duck underneath, if you duck underneath the right side of the aiming thingamajig, none of the shots can actually hit you because they just scatter around the dial. See, if I duck underneath on the right side of the dial, right here, all of the shots will just scatter. And right now, if I duck underneath on the left side of the dial, while he's going to the to the right side, right, and it's a very difficult.
So hold on. You're telling me if you weren't ducking right now, then those shots would come down and hit you?
No, actually, it's for this section where he's starting to shoot them downwards, because previously it was less important, but right now...
Oh, I see what you mean, because you're hiding behind the dial, essentially.
Yeah, well, actually, hiding behind anything doesn't actually mean much, because as you see, his shots go through the walls. However, here, they just sort of scatter into into the background, sort of, when they reach this dial. See? I wasn't hit by any of this.
Foreground, it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless the Z layering is just incompetent.
Even though they hit me all the way from there, see?
Yeah, well, this is... I kind of like some elements about this boss fight, but
it takes
general,
too long.
It takes too long, and the way you interact with him is not interesting.
The aiming is horrible. I feel that if this was just like do this and aim for a different specifically designed designated spot, you know.
No, sure.
Where
or
he
like
just stops.
There was a way to lure him to a place, you know.
Or if he actually stopped for a moment anywhere, this boss fight would have been way more bearable. Or if you only had to hit him 3 times.
Well, if you only had to hit him 3 times, then you wouldn't get to listen to his as many times. What a pity that would be. Hearing
but yeah, we don't.
Go ahead.
We thankfully don't have too much of this left, but yeah, avoiding his shots gets to be a little bit chaotic.
Although now you're back on the platform, so you should be fine.
I do wish there was like.
Yeah, but it can't. If he's running away, you can't spin the targeter fast enough to catch up to him.
No, absolutely not, because there is like a really slow interval between the hits. I'm not a fan of this fight. I wish it was either shorter or your aiming was more precise, or he would just stop at different points for say different.
Or you could like leave out some of his favorite snacks, and he'd go and he'd go over and eat them. Like maybe he really likes bananas, and so you just put some bananas out, and he goes ooh, and then like hops over towards it.
Or maybe if this boss fight, for example, involved using your power-ups in some creative way, that would have been pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, like you freeze him.
Yeah. Freeze him, because freezing actually does give you quite a lot of time, and then you can shoot him easier. That would actually make this fight
I can see your
pretty
frustration
fun.
is starting to come out in how you're playing.
Yeah, and I only have 1 life left, and this is like my I want to say like my 4th try on this boss.
But it felt like the 10th.
It certainly did. Especially with how like.
Okay, he's guarding the wish machine, and he uses this cannon to guard the wish machine. And then he gets hit by the cannon, which he left because
he got mad at me for hitting him a few times.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you so bad. That's what he said.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess it works. Everyone's stupid in this world, so.
For fuck's sake, just hit him.
Even if instead of auto-firing, like, you just pushed it each time you wanted it to shoot.
Yeah, that would also work, because, like, then it would be, like, you could actually do some timing, like, predictable intervals.
Yeah.
As
opposed to, as soon as you turn it on, it is going to fire and...
I mean, I guess you could actually do that, but it's so much harder to pull off.
I was gonna laugh if the shot hit you, and then you died after he had died.
And I teabagged the air out of him.
Yes, you did. Very classy.
Hello.
Speak 3 wishes.
Let me handle this. Wish for 1,000,000 wishes. Wish for 1,000,000 wishes.
That never works.
I hereby wish for a chicken.
Wish granted.
You idiot. Why'd you do that? I just wanted to see if it would work.
Okay, I'll do it this time. I wish Youngo was sent back to his own dimension and our village was saved.
Wish granted.
Hey, look, guys, we're home.
Check that out.
Holy cow!
I think he's gonna chug.
We did it! Are we a team or what?
Yeah, you rock. I think the village looks better at an angle.
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't the wishing engine did you wish for?
I really wanted to share joy with the whole world.
And?
I wish that everyone back home could be just like me.
Oh no!
Oh boy. I think we're gonna need another wish.
Now, was that special or what?
That was little bit of a letdown that they introduced a big old monster dude and then you don't
You don't even get to fight him, yeah. Maybe.
Are you actually playing this or is this auto
Yes.
playing?
This is a playable credit sequence. It's mostly just a power trip.
Yeah. Almost as great as the credits from Smash Brothers or whichever one it. I don't know if it was the original one, but the one that had like little shooter game.
I don't actually remember that.
I think it was. I don't remember. Anyway.
But yeah, this just shows all of the producers, and you run through this stage, mostly almost completely invincible. I don't know if there is actually a way for you to get damaged, all things considered.
Yeah, they might just not have put a hand. Like you might actually be invincible, you know.
All things, yeah, and everything is like on you. Like there is no way for you to actually run into a situation where you wouldn't have the armor unless you specifically went out of your way to
just like
go
stop and wait for it to run out.
Exactly. And also it's just fun to shoot everything.
Well, we can't blame the Dutch for this one. It doesn't look like.
No, even though this was a European produced game.
Unlike many recent titles, the Dutch are not to blame.
The Dutch are not to blame for this one. This should be a tagline for Pandemonium. We can't blame Dutch for this.
If you did episode names, that'd be a good one.
I sometimes do. But yeah, this was Pandemonium. I still really like this game, even though I do find it a little bit too what's the word? Unfair.
Simplistic. Oh.
Unfair on a lot of occasions. But that's more or less just a thing of its time, you know.
Iron Dragon, flying through the rings of the green and the sky.
But yeah, like there is a lot of oh, you're now dead because there is an enemy straight right next to where you're gonna end up if you go right, which is 99% of what you do in this. That sort of thing, which could have actually been resolved way better than with a lot of other like 2D platformers, because
I think for this section I would have played as Fargus.
Because they were actually able to you know, angle the camera in such a way that you were actually able to see things way ahead of time, without actually, like, you know, moving you in any way, shape, or form. You know, or like at least give me an ability to move the camera manually.
I guess it's just because it was so early, but I feel like there's more people on these credits than you really need for a game of this era.
Yeah. I mean, also, Crystal Dynamics was a pretty big studio.
So they just did it quicker, using more people, probably.
Likely. And they did a pretty good job, considering how early of a PS1 title this is.
They were able to get it out quickly because of that.